President Biden was familiar with what his son was going to say on Capitol Hill. If I called my dad and said, I am about to violate a congressional subpoena, he'd probably say, son, you shouldn't do that. Was there any attempt by President Biden to talk Hunter out of it today?
You're going to call your dad Steve?
Call him Dad, usually.
Look, I don't have anything else to add. The president was familiar with what Hunter was going to say today. Look, he's proud of his son. He and the First Lady are proud of his son, how he's rebuilding his life back. He's going to focus on what is needed on the American people. Hunter, and I've said this many times, is a private citizen. And so certainly I would have to refer you to his representatives. I'm just not going to get into private conversations because what you're asking me is actually a private conversation. I'm just not going to get into it.
First briefing since Hunter was indicted again in Los Angeles. Why doesn't President Biden just pardon him?
President, I've been very clear. The president's not going to pardon
And
his son.
one more about these this Ukraine money for border policy negotiations. In the last 24 hours, 10,000 illegal border crossings, southwest border. Would you admit that the border policy, the Biden border policy so far has not worked?
What I will say is that we have known for decades, that the immigration policy is, the immigration system is broken.
You know I don't speak Spanish. In English, please.
We've said that over and over again. That has been Republican administration and Democratic administration. That is not unheard of. That is what we have seen for the past couple of decades. The president has put forth a comprehensive immigration policy legislation on his first day to deal with this issue. Republicans refuse. They refuse to deal with this issue. It's been almost 3 years since he put forth that legislation.
1,000 of these illegal border crossers every day are getting away to parts unknown in the U.S. Does the president think that is a national security risk?
Here's what I'll say. One of the ways that we also have to look at this is what congressional Republicans have refused to do. They refused to support previous requests from the president. What they've asked to do actually hurts the issue, hurts the problem that we're seeing at the border. They said no to border agents. They've said no to new technology to fight fentanyl. They said no to additional aids now.
Liar! 6 days after taking office and shortly after issuing that legislation that has gone nowhere in Congress regarding immigration and the border, the president issued an executive order saying he would, quote, restore and strengthen our own asylum system, which has been badly damaged by policies enacted over the last 4 years that contravened our values and caused needless human suffering. Our reporting, others' reporting, indicates the White House, through sources in the administration, is open to an authority that would allow it to suspend asylum processing when there's a spike in border crossings. Wouldn't that be a major policy reversal and revert back to the previous 4 years?
We have to find a bipartisan compromise. That's what the president said. That's what the president believes in order to deal with this issue. And you started off your question asking, or laying out actually, that the president did put forth, and you laid that out in your question, a comprehensive immigration reform plan. He did that on day one, and it is going on 3 years. On 3 years.
He spent pushing that
On
bill
3
with
years.
Congress.
Here's the
Because he's
thing.
met with them on foreign policy,
Right.
on fiscal cliffs,
And we
on
have,
budget, and it's never been about
I hear
immigration.
you, Ed, and we have regular conversations with congressional leaders and congressional staff about an array of issues, including this. I mean, you cannot send a bigger message to Congress and the American people when you say when you put out your first piece of legislation. Oh, right. Is on this issue, is on reforming immigration, right? Is on fixing.
Flat when you spend very little public time as president talking about the issue, meeting with congressional leaders on the issue specifically, or doing anything else other than having you come out here and say, we issued a bill on day one.
I disagree. It's not just issue a bill. Like not too long ago, back in the spring, we put forth policies on trying to make sure that because Congress didn't help, on trying to put forth policies that try to make the immigration system humane.
Alluded to a conversation he had with the president last week. I'm not asking you for names, but can you at least confirm that the president has spoken with lawmakers directly on the ongoing talks to get the supplemental
The
done?
president has been in regular touch with congressional leaders on this issue, and obviously so has his staff.
And amid everything else today, did he spend any time watching what his son had to say outside the Capitol?
The president was certainly familiar with what his son was going to say, and I think what you saw was from the heart from his son.
Is the president okay with his son defying a congressional subpoena?
I'm just not going to get into specifics on that. I would have to refer you to the president's, not the president, but Hunter's personal representatives. He's a private citizen. I'm just not going to get into it.
You liar!
Can you tell us when the last time the two of them spoke?
I mean, I'm also not going to get into private conversations that the president has with his family. We've been pretty consistent. That's nothing new. We're just not going to get into it from here.
Republicans say that they have to take this vote formalizing an impeachment inquiry because the White House is stonewalling them. What's your response to that?
The White House is stonewalling the House Republicans who have been really pushing this impeachment without any evidence, that without doing this political stunt. I mean, that's what they've been doing over and over again.
Oh my.
And we have said it. Other Republicans have said it. There's no evidence here. There's none. They're focusing on the president's family instead of focusing on the American family. You've heard me say that over and over and over again. And since you say that you're saying, they're saying that we're not compromised or cooperating, they've gotten 100,000 pages of documents. They've interviewed witnesses for 40 hours. And those documents and those witnesses, things that they asked for, have actually refuted their false allegations over and over and over and over and again. Instead of doing the work of the American people, they're doing this. They're doing political stunts. And we've been very clear about that.
President Zelensky spent a full day here in Washington yesterday. He had an all-senators meeting. He met with the House Speaker. He met with the President. No minds appear to be changed as a result of all of the meetings that he had. So what did he accomplish by coming here to Washington?
Well, negotiations are still happening. So we'll see. I think, President Zelensky has made multiple trips here before. This is someone who speaks passionately. He's the leader of a country that's at war.
Wow, that was good TV.
Against Russia, who invaded their country. I remember listening to him talk about what they're going through, the children, the people, the folks who have lost their lives, who have lost everything. I mean, who else is it better to hear from directly than President Zelensky? And I think it was an important visit for him to be here. I think it was incredibly important for him to talk to senators, for him to talk to House members, for him to stand right here in the White House next to President Biden to answer your questions and to speak very forcefully and passionately about what's going on. Almost 2 years. Almost 2 years. Just think about the lives that they've lost. But yet, they fought very bravely. Very bravely.